Test 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Yeah, we got to find him first. CHP lost him. Everybody lost him. He was making his way down Imperial last time I saw him. Eastbound 105. Oh, nope, nope, nope. Well, we're back over towards the LAX area. We were on Imperial just a few moments ago.
This isn't that
started in Long Beach, but when LA City 12,000 block of the silver freeway, the city fire arriving here and done with this whole thing. You can see is when they just stopped. Just stopped.
I feel like I'm in a fucking deposition. All right, Stu Mundel, Mundel.
All right, Stu. Wow, where do we start?
Start at the beginning.
Start at the beginning. So I'll start with high school. What were you like in high school, and where'd you grow up?
All my high school is here in Los Angeles area, Valley mostly. My parents will be the first ones to tell you that technically I dropped out, but basically I had all the credits and everything to graduate. I just didn't do it. I got bored right around 11th grade. Always was a hard worker, big car guy. Was one of those guys out at Glen Oaks and Peoria with my 68 Camaro.
After high school, because I mean we're all around 17, 18, and
yeah.
We don't know what we're doing in life.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea?
You know what? I got to tell you, I just had this discussion with one of my friends just this morning before I met with you guys. I honestly always knew where I was going, what I was doing. There's been times when I can tell you very distinctly, being very young and living in Illinois and an abandoned airport, and my friends, we were all playing in these, derelict planes. And it was funny to me because I can clearly remember in my mind, this voice saying, don't be playing in here. You're going to be doing this. This is going to be your life, type of thing. And I also remember being even younger than that, playing in my mom's Pinto station wagon. And I'm telling you, it's the honest truth. I'd be sitting in there driving, and then I'd jump in the back and do something. And that, and if you look in hindsight, that was me pretending to be a stringer. I'm being serious. It was like you go to a story and then you dub your story. But yeah, it's like I've always kind of knew where I was going. I wasn't that in touch with myself, though. This is all in hindsight. When I was younger, my big ambitions was a tow truck. I wanted to own a tow truck company. I wanted to own a body shop. But yeah, I always kind of knew where I was going. I never really stressed about it. But as far as the news goes, the bug really came in back in the day. Hard copy, Inside Edition. I think there was another one. What was the other one back in the day? You remember? There was like 3 of them. And living in Florida, and I was watching the news, and it was when I started seeing what I didn't know what it was at the time, but firefighters would videotape things when they happened. And back in the day in Florida, it was dog bites, and they would have all these crazy videos of dogs, and stuff. And somehow I can remember the time sitting there at the dinner table watching the television, and I was thinking to myself, I want to do that.
And you say you want to do that. What was that?
I wanted to be that camera guy. I wanted to be where the action was happening. I don't know if this is PG or this is X, but I wanted to be where the shit was going down. I wanted to be there. I wanted to have the camera. I wanted to see it happening. And really, truly, that was the moment for me. And I didn't know at the time, but that was the moment for me. And the way life moved, I wound up, like I said, I was young. I had my own car business at the time. I was working in construction. I had my daughters, my wife, and I really, truly just let it all go. And thank God, I had good people around me, my wife at the time, and she allowed it. And I went to school. I call it my 4-year vacation. I went to art school because I wanted to learn camera, and that's the way I figured this was a road into what I needed to do. Really wasn't.
What kind of art school?
It was the Fort Lauderdale Art Institute, and I was enrolled in the audio. It was called the music video production, but it wasn't music. It was music and video, and I was the only guy that was doing video.
Talk about the equipment you were using.
Oh, the equipment I was using. Yeah, that was the 35 deck with the umbilical cord. I forgot the camera, but but that's the thing too. I got to tell you, it was like getting that camera in my hands. It really, even from day one, it felt like it belonged. It felt I understood everything right off the bat. It was like you really didn't have even we'd have classes and you learn depth of field and all this stuff, but it was like it just came as very second nature. And I always when I look through that lens, I always in my mind was I wanted to show what I wanted to see, and the way I wanted to see things. And that really carried through for my entire career, like from go.
Did you finish college?
No, I didn't. Dropped out of that too. I am the classic non-completer. But basically, it really came down to finances at that time, and I basically, the school funding ran out, the free ride was coming to an end, and I really, truly, I just went back to what I knew. I went back to construction, and I was doing really well with that too. And Fort Lauderdale.
Okay.
Fort Lauderdale. And then, the heart was the most powerful weapon. But, I really think that everything happens for a reason. And the ex at the time came out and visited. And then she basically said, we should make this work. We should get back together. And the way I am is very I got to make all my plans. Everything's got to be in a row. That's a complete lie. I threw all my crap in the back of the truck, and I hauled ass to come back to California. Sadly or positively, she basically said, "Well, that's great. Where are you going to stay?" And I'm like, "I'm going to stay with you." And she's like, "Well, my boyfriend might have a problem with that." So at any rate, yeah. So I kind of wind up back in California without a plan. I've got parents out here and stuff, but yeah, I needed a job, and so I kind of just was looking for anything. And for some reason, there you go again too. For some reason, I wasn't looking for construction, because that's basically it was my bread and butter for the longest time. And maybe it was because I just finished my version of art school, and I was looking in the recycler one day, and then out of the blue, I see news photographer wanted. And I was like, what? So I went down there. It turned out it was a house in Reseda, and it was Gary Arnold's place, and it was newsreel. And with little more than a, hey, how you doing? Yeah, sure. Well, come back tonight and we'll train you. It was truly it. It wasn't any kind of interview or anything. And that started the ride.
Do you remember what the ad said?
It said news photographer wanted. That's really what it said. That's it. News photographer wanted, and 818 phone number. I remember. I can tell you it was like a 366. The only reason I remember is because we used to call it all the time. But yeah, it was Gary Arnold's phone number.
Can you give me a year?
That was got to be. It had to be. And I'm thinking because of my pickup truck, which was new at the time. It had to have been 94. It was right around 94. Sometime in 94 is when I started.
Do you know of anybody else that answered that ad?
Well, I'm assuming everybody else that was working there at the time did as well. It was a real motley crew, I got to tell you. Back in the day, it was an interesting group of people, but it was odd. The ones that stayed, the ones that belonged, we all were cut of the same cloth. That's really the only way to explain it. It wasn't like there was a dress code, but we all dressed alike. We all had the same attitude. We all had the same, desires, depending upon what you were looking at. I remember sitting out, at 8th Street parking in the middle of the night, talking about the artistic ideas between what we do and how we're artists in a way. And I remember clearly the discussion going, I'm not really sure if, talking about, well, we're going to have the flares and the covered body and then the skyline, if that's artwork, and then like, I tend to disagree. It's not artistic per se, but what we are photographers, that is the base of what we do. That is the crux of who we are. And, you know, the reality is in a way we are a mirror of society. You know, we're showing people, and we're bringing people things that are happening in the city, good, bad, mostly bad because of where we are and what we do, but we show people what's going on. And, you know, the human brain will look at something more attractive and gravitate towards that. And if you're a better photographer, they're going to watch or they're going to buy your footage over somebody else's. So photography does play a huge part in what, you know, gathering news back in the day.
I was a photographer for 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
Any chance I had to put the buildings in the background, I
Yeah.
did it.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
If you're in Los Angeles, put Los Angeles in your shot. No matter where you are, turn around and try to get those things. And I had nothing to do with the documentary, but I feel you on that.
Right,
It's our city.
yeah, and or, you know, kind of show, like, you know, when you're selling the stories, that was part of it too. It's like, make it relevant. You know, if there was a shooting in front of Pink's, you know, you're not going to say, oh, there's a shooting at Melrose and La Brea. You're going to say there's a shooting in front of Pink's. You know what I'm saying? And those are the little things that separated. And again, it sounds so simple, but those really separated the men from the boys. You know, and back in the day, there was a little core group. There were people that came and went, but there was a core group. It was very competitive, even though we were all friends. You know, colleagues, probably more the word. But yeah, it was very competitive, and it wasn't just the photography. It wasn't. I mean, it was getting there first, getting the good pictures, and then it was selling the product. You know, you really had to sell, and the way, you know, it's hindsight. It really wasn't. Again, that was one of those things. It wasn't like I went in there with a plan, like, oh, I'm going to be, you know, respectable, or I'm not going to lie, or whatever. But, you know, really, truly, I built a reputation of, you know, this is what it is, because that's all I knew, you know? And when I was selling stuff, if somebody was there, you know, Gary's passed away, I'm sure he's going to roll around in his grave, but if somebody was there before me, I would tell the assignment desk, you know, because we were calling the assignment desk. We were talking to, like, the people at all the stations all the time. I would tell them in a heartbeat. I'd be like, yeah, I got flames, but, you know, I know Dave got the building collapsing. You know what I mean?
The Cinderella story